call the meeting to order.
Hey-o.
You want to get a roll call, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Member Atkins Toth.
Here.
Member Richard Blount.
Here.
Member Bush. Member Dixon. Member Fox.
Here.
Member Grundy Gomez.
Present.
Member Idy.
Here.
Member Merritt. Member Mitchell. Member Nielsen.
Here.
Member Narquist.
Here.
Welcome aboard, sir. Member Palmer.
Here.
Chairman Pollitt.
Here.
Vice Chair Seawright. Member Turner Evans.
Are they online? They'll probably be late.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
All right, thank you. First item we have is a special staff report. I think Sarah's going to talk a little bit about the change to our agenda format.
Good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I don't think I was turned on earlier in the chambers, so I apologize for that, Armando.
No worries.
So just a quick staff report. We have changed the agenda a little bit to have a consent agenda, so similar to the City Commission. This is a way for us to update you on things that you've asked about or that have rolled over from another agenda that didn't necessarily need a recommendation, but you know, it's time to give you an update. So those items are there, and it's a new section, but if a member would like to pull anything for discussion, you can make a motion to do so during the adoption of the agenda, and then the board will then vote to adopt the modified agenda, and any items that are pulled for discussion move to the end of the agenda unless otherwise specified. So I wanted to, just explain that to you all and see if you had any questions. And this is really in an effort to kind of keep the flow of information going, but to not bog down our meetings with too many items. So let us know if you have any questions, but hopefully this works a little bit better and we'll be able to get through our agendas. And I apologize, the rain, the sky just fell. I don't know.
On its way here. Do we have any questions for Sarah
I feel
about
like
the
I'm
new
screaming
format?
over the rain.
Sarah, we have a question for you.
Sure.
Sarah, so normally process for consent agenda, if any member ever wanted to pull one, it's usually not a motion per protocol and process. Normally you just pull it and it gets pulled. When is there, I don't normally never see the commission have a vote on it to pull it.
So I can barely hear you, but I think you
I'll speak
asked-
up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can.
I was asking a question about process. Normally when the commission or a member of the board wants to pull an item off consent agenda, normally it's just pulled. There's normally never a motion to pull it. A member might want a discussion for whatever reason, or if there's a concern or whatever. So I was just asking a question of process. Because normally
I can clarify that. So you will, the member will make a motion to pull the item and add it to the agenda, and then the board will vote to approve the modified agenda as they would vote to approve a non-modified agenda. So they're not voting on the actual pulling of the item, they're just pulling, they're just
okay.
voting to adopt the agenda the way they normally would.
Okay, thanks.
All right. All right, is everybody, any other questions? All right, thank you.
So I have-
Yep,
I'm sorry, Chair, I have one more. Or I guess I can come back at the director's report.
yeah, you
for
still have a director's report and a staff report coming up. This was a special staff report. So, okay, the next item is adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Yes.
Much as I appreciate the consent agenda and trying to get us away from having 3-hour meetings, I did want to ask to have the downtown master plan put on for a quick discussion. I don't feel like we need the presentation. We've had it in our packet at 2 meetings, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at it. But I wanted to talk about, it asked for our input on stakeholder and participation, and I just thought we kind of rushed through that last time. I had something I'd like to maybe put forward as a motion, and so I'd just like to be able to maybe deal with that real briefly at the end is fine.
Okay, so you would like to have the downtown master plan added back to the agenda?
Yes.
Your question then?
So I guess my question for her is she asking for a media amended motion or a separate computer motion?
That's my next question for you is gonna be, would you amend the motion to add the downtown strategic plan to the current agenda at the end?
Yeah, sure.
And our second was, all right. You all get that?
I have a question about something that was on the consent agenda. Is there gonna, well, actually, I can wait till after we vote.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the agenda and to pull the downtown strategic plan off consent agenda and put it at the end of the normal agenda.
Do we know if there's gonna be a discussion on 8th and Waldo at all?
Not unless you bring it up as board member comment. Or if you pull it off consent agenda.
Yeah, I'd like to pull that off consent agenda too.
Okay, you want to modify your,
Yes, Member Mayor, do you agree if I pull off 8th and Waldo for discussion?
all right, so we now have a agenda which has pulled off 8th and Waldo and downtown master plan and placed it at the end of the normal agenda, off the consent agenda. Everybody understand the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have a new agenda.
Almost consented.
Next item is approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Do you have any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Under communication, yeah,
I'm sorry, I asked that, please remember to raise your hands. Who made the motion for
I made a motion and Member Dixon seconded.
the modifications? For the agenda?
I made a motion and Member Mary seconded.
Okay.
all right, thank you, sorry about that. Under Chair's report, I'll just introduce Jay Norquist, our new member. Welcome officially to our family here. And I don't have anything else to report. Director's report, Sarah?
Good evening, Sarah Vidal, and welcome, Mr. Nordquist. It's wonderful to have you on the board. So I wanted to give a quick update because we've presented a bunch of housing-related programs to you all over the last couple months. The Neighborhood Paint Program, the Heirs Property Program, and the My Neighborhood Grant Program are all very close to being live. We plan to do a pretty robust press release when those are ready. But we also have 2 more programs coming in July and August. One is a home energy and water efficiency program with the CWC. Well, I think that's on tonight's agenda, actually. And the historic preservation program, which is one to help clear code violations from historic residences in the district. So those are kind of the last 2 in the full suite of housing-related programs that we're moving forward. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And then I believe it was Member Palmer who asked for follow-up on the grocery store, community grocery store initiative. Okay, I see you shaking your head. So, okay. So tomorrow not tomorrow, Thursday rather, at the City Commission, on the agenda is a proposed development incentive for a grocery store project. And so that is kind of a follow-up to the community grocery store motion. So if you look online in Legistar, I believe the agenda is already posted for Thursday, but I wanted to call your attention to it because it is regarding a grocery store and potentially a credit union or bank in the old Save-A-Lot Plaza across the street from G-Tech. So that is on the agenda for this Thursday's commission meeting, and there is a note about potentially using GCRA funds in the fiscal note. So I wanted to let you all know, because I've been, bringing you updates on items that are going to the commission before they come to this board, and so I wanted to make you aware.
All right. Any questions?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Ms. Vidal, so the project on Hawthorne Road, that currently is under contract right now, that land on Hawthorne Road for the old Save-A-Lot food line?
Yeah, I don't, to be honest,
Yep.
we were not involved in these negotiations, so I'm unsure. I just know kind of what I've read in the agenda item and in a brief conversation.
Yeah. I had a conversation with that, and I'm familiar with it, just to provide some insight. So the developer wants to bring, I think, possibly a Bravo's type of grocery store to that. I think Mr. Beard is under contract with Mr. Beard, Michael Beard. And also there's a project, I think he's also talking about bringing some type of medical facility, and I think to the effect of, for that particular area, also, I think, I don't know what it was, last I saw it was like about $3 million he was seeking. I don't know if that would all come from GCRA or what fund that would come out of, but that's my understanding of the developer itself is out of Jacksonville, out of town developer, but Mr. Beard is local, and I'm not sure what the community engagement looks like with that, but I guess for me, Ms. Vidal, what would be germane to you is, do you have any idea of what the ask is for the amount of dollars?
Yeah, so it's a pretty complex incentive package based on certain benchmarks, bringing the grocery store, staffing up the grocery store. There's a lot of requirements built into the term sheet. So it's more of a loan that's forgiven, like a forgivable loan at certain points in the process. And it's all outlined in the backup to the item.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Vidal.
You're welcome.
All right. Staff report.
Hi, everybody. Trisha Lopez. I just wanted to let you know that this is our last meeting in the City Commission chambers. Starting in July, we'll be back at our original location in the GRU multipurpose room. So I'll be sending out an email with more instructions, but I just wanted to let everyone know what to expect for next month.
But I'm just now getting used to these silly lights and buttons.
You know,
Yeah, can we take our chairs? All right. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to business discussion items.
Oh, that sounded great.
Fifth Avenue Arts Festival Community Partnership Grant Program follow-up. Staff?
I see Enquanda in the here on Zoom, but I believe you're muted. There you go. Okay.
Got it.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We were, and Mr. Courtney Scott is hopefully on here. He can participate. He and I'm the original organizer coordinator of the Fifth Avenue Art Festival, but I'm passing the baton on, and that's happened for the last, I think this is our third year. Our coordinator for the Fifth Avenue Art Festival now is Courtney Scott. Um, we were asked to come to the CRA meeting. We weren't told specifically why we were asked, but I guess we can just start by going over the sponsorship, and that's what we called it for the festival. CRA has been a sponsor of the festival for, I know, well over a decade. So we did give you all an invoice you asked for that listed specifically what was going to be going on with the festival. So I'll go over the invoice, and then Courtney can speak specifically to each area. The first one said that we would list the GCRA on all promotions. Secondly, that half-page ad would be made available for GCRA to promote whatever you all wanted to do, and booth space.
I'm sorry to interrupt, just a moment. Staff, can you put up a copy of the invoice so we can see it? It does not appear to be one in our packet. Because we were, our request was to report on how the funds were spent and how the event went. Right, and this is the report back. I guess she's talking about an invoice, and Tricia, is there any way to get that up? It's not, like I said, it's not included in our packet, so we can't see it.
Yeah, I'm working on that
All
right
right, and Mr. Scott was able to join us, so excellent.
Well, we didn't know about bringing a budget to you. We can provide you with that. Our bookkeeper is out on vacation this week, but we can probably give you a specific breakdown of our festival itself. I don't know whether it would be broken out into what exactly your sponsorship dollars would have paid for specifically. We fundraised for the Fifth Avenue Art Festival, so we paid for items that expenses that we incurred in doing the Fifth Avenue Art Festival. And I will turn it over to Courtney so he can kind of tell you how we did your sponsorship, what our end of what we said we were going to be doing, and how that was done. And he probably will start off by telling you that we were virtual this year, as all of the festivals of Gainesville and Alachua County were, due to the COVID virus. And Courtney, take it.
Okie dokie. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for inviting us to speak at your platform this evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. As Ms. Nkwanda mentioned, due to COVID this year, our event was virtual. I recall one of your questions was how did the event turn out this year? And I would like to mention that it actually turned out very well. We had vendors and participants from all around the world, being that the event was virtual. We had vendors from Australia, from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Canada, and from all across the United States. So far as reach, I think we had the greatest reach ever this year because we did do it virtual. We used some of your dollars to advertise, and as you probably have guessed, we advertise all over the planet, which is why we were able to get vendors from all over the planet. We utilize social media such as Facebook and Instagram to kind of get the message out. Let me see if it'll allow me to share my screen. I could potentially show you some of those things. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay. So here is the platform that we use to host the festival. As you can see, right up at the top, we have the GCRA logo, which is a link to your website.
So we've got
That
hold
was-
on, there's something wrong. We've got a thing that says restart in progress. 15 minutes and 15
Oh,
hours, 13
okay.
seconds.
Courtney,
Oh, okay.
Courtney, can you put your hand off your mic because we're hearing a lot of static.
Okay, apologies. Can you
That's
still hear
fine.
me?
There's a technical issue because the screen we see says restart in progress. So there's something on your screen that's shared that's different. Maybe undo it and try it again.
Okay. How about now?
There we go, right there.
There we go. All right. Okay, so this is the site we use to host the festival. As we mentioned, some of our deliverables were that sponsor at your value would be listed right up at the top. You see the GCRA link right here, which links us right to your website. Also, we included the GCRA as a sponsor on our festival t-shirt. So I'm just clicking this link here to take us over here to the t-shirt so I can show you that the GCRA logo is located on our t-shirt here for the festival. We also like to show you that we did a specific social media post giving a shout out to the GCRA for their continued support. Which do we have? Go on back on over here. And we also mentioned the GCRA right here in our sponsorship area on the page. We also did offer a virtual booth, although I'm not quite sure if that was utilized, where the GCRA could, in fact, Zoom and reach out and talk to people about its mission and other things. But overall, the festival was a success. And like I said, we kind of reached people from all corners of the globe this year that we hope will come back and participate with us next year. Are there any specific questions?
I have one.
Yes.
Do you know how many people you specifically had visit the website or visit during the virtual event?
The platform we use doesn't offer a quantitative value on that, so I cannot answer that. Because there isn't a mechanism built in here to track the unique clicks. But I did ask them about that because that's a good question.
Okay.
Other questions?
Thank you. Courtney, I had a question. I don't know if this is for you or Nkwanda.
Yes, sir.
For specifically, when you all have done fundraising, have you all gone to Community Development Block Grant and received any funding from Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs to give you assistance as well?
We send out sponsorship invites to the city of Gainesville, the county. We try to spread around as much as we can. A lot of that work, and I want to publicly thank Courtney for the work that he's done with the festival. We have had, pretty much himself, me, and maybe another person. So, if we had more people to work it, we could reach out to more people. We weren't even able this year to really run down Shan's the organizations that have given to us in the past, because the turnover of staff and trying to identify the specific people. For CDBG, not the festival, but the Cultural Arts Coalition has had much experience in applying for CDBG funds and accessing those funds. And I don't want to go into it in your meeting about that, but any other time, I'd be glad to tell you about my experiences with CDBG.
And Ms. John, finally, to you and Courtney, I want to just tell you all I'm very impressed with what you all have presented today. This was especially for it to be virtual and the atmosphere that we're dealing with the worldwide pandemic, that you all were able to pull this off and attract the level of attention and participation. Says a lot about your group, and it was very impressive. I'm very proud of you all.
Well, thank you very much, and we want to thank the other festival and event coordinators and Visit Gainesville. Visit Gainesville pulled together a meeting of all of the events coordinators at the first part of the year, and we worked together. We learned from each other. The events that came on before us, like the medieval fair, they shared with us and we all went virtual. So they shared with us what worked and what didn't work. And thank goodness I have Courtney, because the language even used about doing virtual events is foreign to me. But he just took it and worked with those people. And we just want to say that our organizations worked well together this year. And you know, in the midst of the pandemic.
Thank you. Any other questions? I don't see any. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. You all have a great evening.
Our next item is a CWC Partnership Initiative.
Good evening. I can speak to that. Let me share my screen.
I think
Somebody's got
Mr. Courtney's got, there you go, you got it.
Okay.
Somebody's got ultimate control here. I don't think it's me. It's always my fault. I'm okay with that part, actually.
All right. Can everybody hear me fine?
Yes, we can.
Great. For some reason, one second. Okay.
There we go.
All right. Good afternoon again. My name is Chelsea Bakaitis, for those that don't know me, and I am a project manager with the GCRA. Today I have with me Marianne Schmink. She is the CWC Advisory Board President, and R.D. Bonahan, and he's the Rebuilding Together Director. I'm going to start off this presentation by talking a little bit about the Vitality Report. In 2017, the former CRA commissioned a study known as the Vitality Report to find out what the elements of successful redevelopment are. This report was created to inform what is next for the CRA and how to get there. Partnerships were a huge element that rose to the top as part of CRA's most successful redevelopment projects. And so for this reason, I am excited to propose to a partnership between the GCRA and the Community Weatherization Coalition, or the CWC. This initiative will provide funding to the CWC to expand their current home energy and water tune-up and upgrade program to offer assistance to more homes within the GCRA district and to expand their program to include small unit landlords. We have been in conversation with CWC Director Elaine Humrich, CWC Advisory Board President Marianne Schmink, who I talked about earlier, and Director of Rebuilding Together, R.D. Bonahan. They're excited for the opportunity to serve more homes in our district. The order of this presentation is as follows. First, CWC Advisory Board President Marianne Schmink will start off the presentation by reviewing with you information about the CWC and their history. Second, I will discuss what types of services they will offer residents in our district. And third, I will talk about the goals and requirements of the program. All right, so to start off the presentation, I'll turn it over to CWC Advisory Board President Marianne Schmink. Thank you. Marianne, you ready?
Yes, thank you very much, Chelsea. It's great to be here and be able to talk a little bit about this exciting new partnership with the GCRA. Elaine Humrich had another commitment tonight, so she was unable to be here. I'm a founding member of the CWC back in 2008 and current president of the advisory board. I'm a volunteer myself. I've spent over 10 years going into people's homes and talking to them about their home energy and water. And CWC is part of Rebuilding Together North Central Florida. We're sort of the energy efficiency branch. So RD Bonayan is here as well. The CWC is a small organization. We've been around for over 10 years now, working in people's homes. We have 2 paid staff only. So we're a volunteer organization primarily. And as you can see from the slide, we've been able to have a really large impact, serving over 1,250 homes, and recently instituted a new do-it-yourself program during COVID because we were unable to do our services in people's homes with volunteers. And that's already, we've already reached 65 homes with that new program. We've trained over 300 coaches, and we've had a big impact, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars for our community, an average of $255 per year following our tune-ups, about 10% of the bill, along with millions of kilowatt hours of energy and tens of millions of gallons of water. Just to give you quickly what we do, we spend a long time with people in their homes, 2 to 4 hours. We do things like changing their light bulbs to more efficient ones, their aerators to save water, clean their refrigerator coils. We help them understand how their bills work and what components go into their bills and how they can affect those bills. We think that the most unique character of our work is our emphasis on working with residents and educating and empowering them to learn how their homes work and how to keep reducing their use of energy and water and keep saving money over the longer term. And we know from talking to over 200 of the people that we've served that they're very satisfied with it. They really feel that they learned something about their homes, got a better understanding of what they could do, and in fact followed up with things they committed to do after we left. We're the only organization that works with renters. We don't have eligibility requirements, and we're excited about the potential to work also with small unit landlords to be able to help those renters through higher level retrofits as well in partnership with Rebuilding Together. So we're looking forward to being able to expand our outreach through the support of the GCRA and this new contract. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Marianne. So Marianne kind of gave you the general rundown of the tune-up and upgrade program. I created this slide just to give you some examples of what those specifically would be. So applicant applies, they start up with the tune-up program. And here, as Marianne was saying, they get education, and their air filters get checked, they receive energy efficient light bulbs, water saving shower heads, pipe insulation, for them to put on their own AC refrigerant line and hot water heater, or volunteer, toilet tape banks or displacement bags, and then CWC volunteer before COVID would do an evaluation of the efficiency of major appliances. So after they go through the tune-up, they are eligible for the upgrade, and under this program, they'll get more permanent improvements, and that's improvements such as attic and underfloor insulation, water heater replacement, water sense toilet installation, refrigerator replacement with a more energy efficient unit, Energy Star rated window pane replacement, window AC unit, Nest thermostat installation, window film insulation, and ceiling air leaks. So next part of this presentation, I'm going to talk a little about why this is important. The proposed home energy and water initiative that we are proposing today proposes to increase participation of these services within the GCRA district. Residents with inefficient appliances, poorly functioning air conditioning, and water leaks may spend hundreds to thousands of dollars in additional annual cost on their utilities. In addition, areas of poor quality housing can destabilize communities by leading to a high turnover of permanent residents. The vision of this initiative is to strengthen neighborhoods by maintaining the culture and population of district neighborhoods through encouraging long-term residency by quality homes. The mission being to directly benefit community members by lowering their monthly utility bills and thus increasing the number of energy and water efficient homes in the district. And that also includes small unit rentals. So overall, the vision of this initiative is to stabilize neighborhoods through long-term residency. So we will work with the CWC to provide the 2 tiers they already have. The initiative will offer tier 1 tune-up services for free for renters, homeowners, and rental unit lessors, which is a new element we're bringing just for our district. And then after they go through that, tier 2 upgrades will be offered free to homeowners, and it's being expanded to include lessors. But the only caveat is that lessors can receive reimbursements for upgrades up to 50% of, for upgrades, they can be reimbursed for upgrades they make up to 50% with a cap of $1,000 per unit, and only 4 units are allowed reimbursement per year. Residents that include homeowners and renters that are eligible under the initiative must make a low income or they're currently energy burdened. An energy burden means that they spend 10% or more of their annual income on home energy and water cost. Lessors are also eligible, but only for rental units up to a quadplex are eligible for assistance under the program. And then finally, for this fiscal year, we have $70,132 set aside. And again, this is a pilot, so there's always future for expanding this program. In closing, I want to thank you all for your time. The directed recommendation for this item is that the GCRA Advisory Board approve the Partnership for Home Energy and Water Efficiency Initiative as presented or modified if applicable. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Questions? Go ahead. You go first, and I'll go over here.
All right, thank you. I guess first, I guess I should at least be transparent. Years ago, I was somebody who actually had the CWC come out to his house. They spent a couple hours doing stuff. I would say over the course of that, a relatively small place, I saved probably $50 to $100 a month off of it now, thanks to the upgrades. I would say I had a wonderful experience with it, and as you saw on that slide, I think a lot of other people have. I'm very much in support of this. I'll wait to make a motion on it, but I did at least want to put that out there. I have a couple questions around what the, what the plan is for that spend. One of the things it sounds like for Gainesville, and I guess one of my questions is more along the lines of what of this money is planning to be used for outreach to be able to help get this program into other people's homes. I think there's a lot of people that would very much benefit from this, but I'm not sure if all of those people know how to find out about the program or how to qualify for it and that type of stuff. So if you'd be able to, talk to that part of it, I'd appreciate a little insight there.
I can speak a little bit to that. So this money is, the CWC is going to provide monthly invoices for whatever they do. I think in the beginning they've asked, I think for about $4,000 for outreach, but this doesn't include, the budget I gave doesn't include the GCRA marketing and how the money that we're going to be put towards marketing ourselves as an organization. So both the CWC and the CRA will be putting money. And I don't know exactly how much we would put, but we do plan on, part of our outreach really is going through codes enforcement and having them work with landlords who might need assistance under the program to fix their small rental units, or just individuals in the community. And then also we want to visit the neighborhood association meetings and have them learn about the program and talk to other members of the community. Another idea we've come up with which I really would like to do, is talk with local pastors to see if they can help some of their congregants apply under the program.
Okay. One thing, I mean, I guess I'd like to either see about this as potential part of the motion, or maybe a motion in the future or something like that. But is there one of the things I'd really like to see from this is a little bit more assistance with, you know, potentially tabling at events, anything that the CRA is at. I think I'd like to see, if we're providing funds for this, I'd also like to see the CWC there as well, since, you know, CRA is at a lot of events. Maybe it's not everything, but at, you know, especially like, you know, the Fifth Avenue Arts Festival, if the CRA is out there with a booth, I'd love to see the CWC out there as well with them. You know, just as a general suggestion, but I think some of my other board members have comments.
Okay,
Thank you.
Member Atkins stuff.
Yeah, thank you for this presentation. This is awesome. It's a great program. I was wondering if, I guess, like, one of my questions was about outreach. I think that's a big thing. My next question, I'm kind of curious around, I guess maybe we could start with the like reaching out to landlords and kind of the thought process around landlord outreach and why that was included in the program. Could you kind of go through that? Let me know if you want me to clarify that question more.
Yeah, so you're asking why we decided to include landlords under this program?
Yeah, that'd be an awesome place to start. Yeah.
Okay, so we want to include landlords because often renters find themselves in renters. We wanted to help renters pretty much. Renters are the ones who are paying the bill for their utilities, and so the attempt to help landlords was more of an attempt to help renters, so that we could still have a way to make permanent improvements on these rental units, but also we're not giving 100% to land. It's more of an incentive to them to improve.
Awesome. I was just curious because I forget the exact makeup of it, but the city of Gainesville just passed a landlord memorandum that landlords have to have their houses,
Renters Bill of Rights.
the Renters Bill of Rights piece, so that's already in play around energy efficient windows, certain blower tests. I think all landlords have to have a blower test within a certain, in order to have a renter permit.
Yes. So we actually had come up with the idea before we even heard about codes doing this. And then when we found out, we were like, oh, this would be a great kind of tie in with what code enforcement is doing and the planning department is doing. So we initially were not exactly sure what type of landlords we were looking for, but that's one reason why we're doing 4 units or less, because this new energy efficient initiative is for small rental unit landlords. So it is kind of tied. It wasn't initially, but we've tied it in as we've been hearing more information about this.
Yeah, that was my curiosity, because it seems to me there would be like a massive flood of landlords taking advantage of this program, which I don't know how much that would benefit like the core goals of the program, which is increasing energy efficiency for people who live in their houses. I don't know.
So a lot of the idea is for it to be passed on to the renters.
Good question, Jason.
Yeah.
Pay GRU bills.
Yeah, no renters pay the GRU bills. And then the thought also, one of the issues with the renters' rights thing is obviously the improvements will be increasing rent. That's a theory, but then like rent's already being increased. So, I mean,
in my understanding, this program addresses different. I know I'm speaking a little out of turn, but this program addresses a few different things. They'll change energy efficiency light bulbs, add something to a tank, while the Renters Bill of Rights has a little bit bigger scope of program.
Yeah.
That is something the landlord could bear. This is more of, it helps get prices down for the individual person.
Yeah, totally. I guess I mean, especially like in my mind, it's really the tier 2 things. I mean, those are that's the cost of doing business as a landlord, having a working refrigerator, a working water heater, toilets, insulation. I don't know. That was just my hesitation when I saw it. Was the fact that all those tier 2 budget items, I mean, I'm a landlord and I have a couple rental properties, and I would be all over those. If someone's gonna buy me a new water heater, that'd be amazing.
I don't think this applies water heaters. As far as I understand, this is something that's a little more gonna, like, they'll come in and clean the coils on the
It does,
refrigerator.
it buys water heaters.
Yeah, with the tier 2.
So let me, Chelsea, let's ask a question. First, I guess what you're suggesting is that you'd like to see the landlord provision removed.
Or, I mean, ideally totally removed, or even just for like tier 2
so,
especially, you know?
And Chelsea, the question is, I thought I heard you say there was a cap, but it's not on the number of four unit or less landlords. It's just under, was there a budget limit? I mean, if you did 4 units, are you tapped out on your budget?
Yeah, so they only, they get reimbursed for 50% of all improvements they made, up to $1,000 per unit. And I also want to add that the provision means that they cannot change the price of rent for a year after these improvements are made. And there was something else, but I can't remember.
So if they accept this, they can't modify their rent for 12 months.
Yes.
Beyond where their current term is already listed. So if they've got a new lease that's now 8 months to go, and they accept this money, then it's 12 months after this lease when it gets renewed.
That makes sense.
Or from the date they accept the money.
Okay.
So you had Mr. Brendan Gomez had a
Well, I
question.
don't know if he was done or
Are you
not.
done?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's a great program, and I don't want to punch holes in it, you know? I mean, there's a lot of amazing stuff there. I'm just trying to make sure, I mean, in a perfect world, I feel like it would go to, like, people that, you know, private residents, people that have their homestead on their houses. But also, I totally hear that in these districts, there's a lot of renters, and they're living in some rough housing. And to improve those living conditions would be amazing. I just, just worried about, landlords have a tendency to, take advantage of things like this. So that's just my caution around it. There's an immediate red flag that went up when I saw it. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Mr. Brendan Gomez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, to piggyback sort of off of Member Atkins' stuff, great questions. It's not punching holes, especially if we can tweak and help improve the program. We never want to hurt the perfect will for the enemy of the good, right? We want to help folks, but we don't want to have unintended consequences. I guess my question, and I don't know if this would be more of a, whose question would this be? Because this is going to come down to a general government question, because with the Renters Bill of Rights, has this, I guess my question is, because there's a lot of stuff that comes out of that when vetting this, and I don't know if this would be a Mrs. Bowie question or Sarah question, but with the Renters Bill of Rights,
Keep going.
With the Renters Bill of Rights that's in place now, that the City Commission has already voted on and approved, that sets certain standards, sets prerequisites in place, we already have a lot of that built in the code, and I guess I'm looking for efficiency and not redundancy. How are we, except for funding certain things, if we're requiring the landlords to do those things, this just kind of looks at a redundancy there, and you all can come back to it. But my other question would be more directly to CWC. My feedback is going to be to you all more directly, in as much as, for an example, who we are targeting, who we are really going after. Because, for an example, to CWC, some of people that live near me, my friends, taxpayers, residents of the city, we can go not far from here. We can go to Porter's. We've had several neighborhood meetings. It would instead of us spending those type of marketing dollars, we should be more efficient. Showing up, you can't get better marketing than word of mouth and talking directly, which the City Commission is big on right now, and talking about community engagement. Community engagement is involving talking to the very people whose homes you're going to be going into. Like Member Palmer brought it up earlier. He came into his home several years ago and did a lot of work. And friends and neighbors in Porter's quarters, a lot of them are in dilapidated housing, substandard living in some of the places, not all of them, but in some areas. And they brought up a lot of good points in the last month and a half, 2 months, about what they're living in. And I guess I'm fine with those dollars as long as we can show something. I would like to have measurements and accountability of what's brought back to show us what you're actually doing, because that's going to be important to see the impact, and not just we're giving these amounts of dollars and we want to see the return on investment. And in fact, because this is also part of the strat plan, right? Neighborhood stabilization, keeping from preventing gentrification of a community, which Porter's is already largely getting gentrified anyway, but that's just as an example, because if you go into Porter's quarters, and I forgot the lady's name for CWC, somebody help me out. Ms. Schmidt. We know a lot of slumlords. We know them by name. And obviously Mr. Atkins Stuff is probably not one of those folks. He's not. He's a good landlord, takes care of his people. But we have, let's be honest, we have folks that are out there that don't do the right thing. And yet we're gonna cure something that they haven't done. And I'm all for putting in a water efficient toilet that you can get for $98 at Home Depot, or something to help to bring the water bill down. Because especially with the rates that are about to increase 7 to 9% for GRU, this is going to be extremely important for many. And I'm not going to use the word neighbors. I don't like using that term. For many of the people that you are charged to serve, it's going to be important. So I guess for me, Chelsea, have we looked at possibility? Because I'm going to tell you next month I'm coming back with something from Porter's and possibly Fifth Avenue that's right along these lines, that could possibly be a pilot program where this could be a synergy program to work in conjunction with that, because it's imperative that we really have meaningful and effective change to affect people's lives. I am in full agreement with Member Palmer that this meets that criteria in that bill. So none of the questions that we're asking want to punch holes in it. We are looking for things like efficiency, making sure that we're not, keeping you from doing an effective job, but also where we have measurable and tangible results and something you can bring back to us to show that. And the other thing that I also am in favor of, you brought up, what about windows? Because whenever you're in a home and something is attracting or losing heat, whether it be low argon gas windows, or we could go all day. I'm that wonk that likes to. I'm the civil engineer that likes to do that all day long. But for installation, are we talking about icing in the roofs, improving the insulation interior? What are we talking about? Can somebody answer that for me as well? And I'll wait to have a follow-up because I have some more other questions.
I'll let someone from the CWC answer that.
Yeah, Chelsea, maybe you could put back up the list of what the tier 2 items included. In terms of community engagement, I'll tell you that CWC is very involved in going to table at community events. We've got a long-standing partnership with the Greater Duval neighborhood, and we've reached out to Spring Hill, and we're looking forward to expanding and partnering with GCRA to work with Porter's and Fifth Avenue. So that is very much the way we operate. We're a really small organization. As I said, we have 2 staff people, only 1 full-time. So we can only do so much, and we're going to be taking advantage of GCRA's publicity of their whole suite of programs to be a part of that, and hope that that helps us. We do have a small budget ourselves for outreach as well. So we totally agree. I totally agree that word of mouth is really important, and we recognize that. You can see that windows are not on the list here because of the cost. So these are all relatively low cost, next level upgrades that we're proposing to include. Tier 1 being the tune-ups that we have been doing, and then tier 2 being also upgrades that we've been doing for a small number of homes we're able to afford to go back and work on some of these other things.
Thank you.
Just in terms of measuring impact, we have had some partnership with UF researchers and have had very rigorous analysis of our impact. So we're very confident that we do have a positive measurable impact.
All right, and my follow-up, Ms. Schmidt, would be, first of all, thank you for that response. I appreciate that very much. other communities that seem to get left out, people always talk about Duval Heights, Fifth Avenue. You also got Lincoln Heights, Lincoln Estates, seem to be, northeast neighborhoods, all through there. You have Breezy Acres, et cetera. So I just want to make sure we're not, because everybody talks about those as the ones that are there throughout District 1 and our urban core neighbors, our neighbors within our downtown, right? So throughout there. But I think Mr. Palmer wanted to make a motion, so I'll digress. Thank you.
Member Blount?
Thank you. Having had some experience with codes, I know that their language tends to be threat and penalty. Don't hear from them other than that. I'm curious to know, and this is the first of 2 or 3 questions, how will you interact with codes and avoid people experiencing punitive actions, say they're not ready to do something right away, that codes turns it into a violation instead of coming to help?
So I have been working with the landlord coordinator at the code department, and this is something I can speak with her about. And especially for rental units in the CRA, I think that would be the main thing this would apply to. That's definitely something I can kind of work with her on, and I have not talked with her specifically about that. This is something we could definitely look more into.
Okay. And as far as rental units, I'm in a rental unit myself, that is terrible in terms of old leaky windows, lack of insulation. I know how that can hurt renters. So energy efficiency certainly helps affordability, but rent affordability is the other issue. I would put it to you that 1 year holdout for rental increases is kind of frivolous. That's not much. I mean, some people may have been renting a place for 5, 8, 10 years. 1 year protection from the increase is very brief. I think these landlords are getting a tremendous assistance, and that they should be asked to do 3 years, 5 years holdout to rental increase, or set a percentage increase over a longer period, and help those tenants avoid the increase a longer time. Is that possible to consider, or are you already in contracts with some people?
That's definitely possible. This is what we're here for you guys. That's definitely something you could add in the modification. Yeah.
Thank you.
Done? Okay. Member Atkins-Tufts?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Member Blow was saying, kind of the like 1 year, then like 2% annually over the course. It's kind of pretty standard, you know. Anything above that is, yeah, just to put that 2% number is a pretty standard practice.
All right, I don't see any more lights. I did, I'll come back to you in just a second. I did, what I heard, and I'm still not sure of, is do you want to just say that these funds are not eligible for city ordinance improvements required by the Renters Bill of Rights for landlords? Or do you want to try and approach the lease rate is frozen for a period of time if you accept these funds? That's the two arguments that I'm hearing. I don't know which one is that, so go ahead and Mr. Palmer.
To me, I think the lease rate would be the lease rate lock for a short term would be something that I would add as part of a motion.
I would put it in, make a motion and put it in.
Okay. So there's 2 things I'd like to do with this as well. I'd like to make a motion to approve with 2 notes. One of them limiting adding a 3-year 2% increase in rental percentage, or no more than a 2% increased rental percentage for the first 3 years of somebody being in part of this program. I think that's a really good suggestion. The other thing I'd like to see is a reporting requirement where the people who are part of this then supply, and I know we can probably get it from GRU, but I think one of the absolute requirements we need to have is a follow-up reporting, so that we know that, okay, these changes have been done. 1 year later, their GRU bill has changed by X percentage, and I know you're doing some stuff with UF, as you mentioned, but I think something kind of simple like that for a 1 year, and then we can see an average impact or something like that over a year would be valuable for making this program.
Okay, we have a motion on the table and a second. Any discussion?
I do. I have some questions. So I guess for me, what I'm wanting to understand, one fact, we're talking about the super. Can you elaborate? That got convoluted in some of the dialogue. The 2%, I'm trying to unpack that. Can you elaborate on that, please?
2%, somewhere in the 2 to 3% is kind of a standard rental increase percentage to keep pace with inflation. Businesses often do that. Sometimes landlords do that, but I think if we limit it to something that is, kind of a general standard, it will allow the landlords to not necessarily be penalized. If we, penalize them and say they can't keep pace with inflation, then they might be less incentivized to do that.
And would you be open also into having, because I like accountability and measures of what they can bring back of what's been done, and also a community engagement piece to your motion, if we could have better community engagement, which is important.
Yeah, I think the hard part for me about the community engagement piece would be quantifying that, being a little bit more specific about what we want with that.
Community engagement, reaching out to communities that Mrs. Schmidt named, but when there's having meetings, making sure that that's just a part of it, because these are tax dollars being spent, so everybody within that GCRA boundary, making sure we know about this and are well spoken to, and I guess some of that will be on us as well, or staff to do as well. But
so would that be? I mean, if we include some sort of a provision to promote community engagement in this.
Sure, and just measurements and something that they can bring back to us.
Okay.
Before you change that, Ms. Schmink has her hand up. So
yeah.
Do you have a clarifying comment related to this?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to address the reporting requirement, and specifically reporting on changes in the GRU bill. We currently work with UF researchers because it's not actually as straightforward as it sounds. There are so many variations from 1 year to the next due to weather primarily, and also even in the same home with people moving in and out. So we have tried to work with people who are sophisticated enough to do controlled analyses, so we're really confident that our tune-ups are the thing making the impact. We don't have a budget for that in this contract, so we can promise to provide some kind of reporting, but I just wanted to warn you that just comparing the bills can be misleading, depending on the weather in that particular year, for example. We want to have that kind of reporting, but we don't have the in-house capability with our 1.5 staff people to do it ourselves in any rigorous way. In terms of community engagement, we can certainly tell you how many community events we go to every year, which is quite a few. And I'm not sure. Otherwise, we reach out in all the ways that we know how, and are counting on the GCRA to help us do that as well. Thank you.
Ms. Schmidt, let me clarify what I'm getting at there. So one is, obviously, staff, I get that, but there is measurable ways to compare when somebody used kilowatts, and if you install certain things and using kilowatts different this year, and yes, I do defer to the fact that weather can have an impact, but if I'm using an incandescent light bulb versus an LED light bulb, I can measure the amount of usage in my lighting. If I change the type of heating elements I'm using, like a hybrid water heater or whatever, those improvements should have an impact in my bill significantly in the amount of kilowatt hours being utilized, or should. That's logically speaking. As far as community engagement, let me clarify, because that's a big thing right now with the city, is community engagement and how we talk about what we do, especially with GCRA dollars. You're talking about wanting to use these dollars. We want to get the most bang for our buck and be able to affect as many people as possible. So it's going to be very important for either you as an organization to team up with others or whatever to get this out of what you do. And yes, I'm very familiar with what you do, and I like this organization. I just want to make sure we market it effectively as best as possible by building partnerships, whether it be with community leaders from Porters and all the aforementioned neighborhoods that we talked about. That's what I'm getting at here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I can speak with that if the chair doesn't mind. So we are working on a marketing plan for a suite of, for all the housing programs we're putting out. So we are working on that when we get all the housing, all the programs related to housing together. I just wanted to add that.
All right, Ms. Vidal, you got your hand up.
I did, thank you. Chelsea mentioned part of what I was going to mention, and that we'll be coming back to you with kind of a marketing plan for rolling out all these programs. There's only one more left that we'll be bringing forward. Once that one is either a go or no go, then we hope to market them all together and in a way that makes it very clear kind of, you know, what each program is for. And, you know, the marketing piece is kind of an at a glance brochure that someone can look at and, you know, are you a renter, are you an owner, you know, are you looking for this, that, and so I think it'll really help to have like that one sheet that you all can hand out to people that you meet in your day-to-day, and you know, we'll be certainly getting that out on the streets, but then also have a plan for press releases and Facebook, you know, social media posts, and we'll do that in conjunction with the CWC to make sure the word gets out that way. And then there'll be kind of a street team element, if you will, as far as neighborhood meetings. You know, Chelsea mentioned churches, but you know, we know that this is a really great need and the word needs to get out. So we'll bring that plan back to you all so that you can look at it and offer any advice as far as if you might be missing something.
Thank you. Ms. Dixon, do you have your light on? I can't really see it. I can't see the key lights here.
Yes, I do. Just a real quick question to clarify the 2%. Is that 2% annual or 2% over the course of the 3 years?
Annual.
Okay.
2% per year.
Yeah, just to make sure the motion reflects that.
Okay, Mr. Palmer, were you through with your comments?
I think the one last thing I'd kind of like to touch base back on is the reporting measure. I think that's going to be vitally important for us for, I think, continuing this program, being able to say, you know, if we're looking at it now as a pilot program, what we're really looking at defining is what metrics are we using to decide, is this a program that needs to be going for the future? I'm sorry, I don't remember your name from the CWC.
Ms. Schmink.
Schmidt. Schmidt. I'm sorry, I can't see it.
It's okay. Don't worry.
So I guess I want to come back and maybe touch base on what sorts of, is there anything we can, other than just giving you some sort of like generic reporting requirement, please report back to us. Is there any way to be a little bit more specific about that? Because I think I'm hesitant to include just a general vague reporting requirement in a motion.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking for the percent change in the amount of the bill, the number of kilowatt hours, and the gallons of water, those are the three key measures, but they need to be controlled for other things.
Okay.
So, but I wouldn't specify that in the report because we don't have a way to do that currently in this contract. But we could definitely look at the bills. You have to wait a year to go through a full season to be able to tell the difference. But those are the three key measures if you want to specify. Now, we definitely want to be able to show our impact, but we may have to do it more simplistically. We've been using larger data sets over several years so that we can get a more robust measure, and then we have an average that we use because there's so much variability among households based on many other things, the size of the family, who's living there, whether they stay home all day long, what the weather's doing. So there are community level variables and individual home level variables. When we talk about averages, there's a great variation.
You kind of touched on it earlier. Is it a budget concern about getting those types of things, or is it's just kind of a difficulty and requires some pretty advanced?
Yeah, we had not talked with GCRA about a budget for measurement.
Okay.
And so if we wanted to try to hire GRU researchers at the People for Resource Efficient Communities, that's what they do.
Yeah.
We could put a budget in to hire them. Otherwise, we'll probably just do it ourselves in some more simplistic way.
Everybody's home air conditioning bill went up during COVID because they couldn't go to the office and they had to stay on the pool every day. How do you account for that?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm trying. That's kind of what I'm trying to qualify.
I don't think you can. Another family moves in and uses more hot water because they have 10 kids. Or you change the hot water temperature from X to X.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering. To me, I fully understand that and I agree with it. I'm just wondering, should we be discussing, potentially additional or something so that we make
the idea of them
reporting.
improving the efficacy of their program overall is what they're trying to do, and that seems like done a reasonable job going to the university and getting them to help produce a document that says normalized for weather and other conditions. We're making this type of savings, but to say you're doing it at an individual address is going to be difficult to prove.
I guess for me though, I don't want it to come off. I wasn't trying to be unreasonable and trying to have measurements or something we could measure using dollars of exactly what you just said, efficacy. However, and I'm understanding of the explanation, but whenever using dollars, I want to have some way to measure what was efficiency of the program. Did you serve more homes this year than last time? So I don't want to go down a rabbit hole of it's just, well, we're using air conditioners or water heaters. There's bigger outcome pictures here, and I also don't want to make it de minimis or minimize the fact of how we measure something. So did you serve more homes than you did last time? But again, I'm not going down that path, so I'll back off of it just for the.
Yeah, the reporting measures. I think something I'm leaning on as much as you. But.
Ms. Dixon, did you have something to add?
Well, I was going to go where you just went. That I think I understand the complexity of reporting the actual reductions, but I think we all know that these interventions do good things.
Yes.
And reduce energy and water consumption. So I think the bottom line things we might want to hear back is just how many households did you help? How many promotional, outreach did you conduct? All those kinds of things.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at on it too.
Yeah, and I'm hearing the other concern is making sure it's across the whole district, not in specific areas. So it's in mostly underserved communities, obviously.
Correct.
Okay. Any more comment here? Mr. Darkness? Yes.
I agree with Mr. Chair and Ms. Dixon about if the University of Florida is able to produce some kind of report that demonstrates that there's some measures that have been taken. It seems like it's a very challenging task for them to do it the way you're describing it. So from my perspective, if they're able to do that from the University of Florida, I think that should be sufficient.
Is that University of Florida, is that a ongoing partnership? Was that a one-time evaluation?
So I think you're asking me.
Yes.
They did a 5-year analysis for us, 2010 to 2015. And we're about to update that with a much larger data set, including everything since 2015. And we were going to do all that at one time. We don't have an ongoing program of annual assessments. We have been taking chunks of years so that we have a larger data set to work with. But I mean, it may be something that would be useful to do after 2 or 3 years to have a more robust set of homes to work with and to see the overall impact over that period of time.
So,
But we don't have a current, we don't have we have an ongoing friendship and partnership with them, but we don't have any contract right now for them to do,
I don't want to get convoluted.
except for one round they're going to do this summer.
Oh, okay, so for clarity's sake, Ms. Dixon, and I think Ms. Dixon was understanding what I was saying, and somehow this went left, and I did not intend for this to go left. And why we're stuck on, that is not what I was asking for, but anytime you're asking for monies, we have to be able to measure that. So again, I'm happy with the data from UF. That's one separate set of data. I want no part of that. What I'm simply saying, I think Member Dixon understood what I was getting at, is I'm saying, did you serve more homes last time? That's not something we need to get from UF. That's something we need to get from them. And they can give us that very easily. Last year, we served 62 homes. This year, because of what you did, we were able to serve 100 or whatever. That's all I'm asking. That's all.
Okay. Ms. Schmink, is that something that's fairly easy for you? I'm sure you keep track of all of that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That goes without saying.
All right. Ms. Vidal, you got your hand up again?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention that, a lot of the reporting that you're talking about is something that we automatically do every year for the annual report. And that is, compile kind of the data from all the programs, how many people did we reach, how much money did we spend, and then what was leveraged, because of that money into that program. And then also because there are a lot of pilot programs in this kind of housing suite of housing programs, and so it's going to be important for us to come back to you and talk to you about it. There could be things in these programs that just aren't working, at which point we'd come back and discuss that with you. Could be ways to improve the program after serving people for a year or two, and we'll come back to you at that point. So you all are part of the success of this program, and so we will certainly be circling back. And I know Marianne and RD and Elaine are just committed to this, and I wanted to thank them for working with us. This is something we've wanted to do for a long time, to help expand this program to reach, especially homes and apartments in our district. And so we're super excited about it, and I wanted to thank them for their commitment to our community, and just excited to get to work with them. So thank you all.
All right, Mr. Palmer, you had your light still on.
Yeah, I guess, do we have any sort of an example of that for now? I mean, I know we mentioned the total homes that have been done, but we don't know how many kilowatt hours or gallons of water have been saved, do we, off the top of your head?
In their presentation, they said tens of thousands or something. There was a slide.
Yeah, so from our analysis of 2010 to 2015, that was a total of 124 homes that were GRU customers out of all the ones we served. And there was something like 6,000 gallons of water on average per home, 12 to 1,300 kilowatt hours per home, and $255 on average per home. Some homes increased their use of energy because they were suddenly able to use their air conditioning where they didn't have one before. So there's a lot of variability, but those were the average numbers.
Okay. Then I guess, it sounds like everybody's kind of in general, let's kind of strike the reporting measure that I added in there as part of it. And if you're open to it for the second.
Absolutely.
Then I think the only thing that I would say I'm proposing or making a motion for is to adopt as proposed, with a caveat, or with the a 2% per annum, a no more than 2% per annum increase for landlords per participating in the program.
That was already in the original motion.
For 3 years.
Yeah, I'm just clarifying my original
It was
motion.
getting a clarified motion.
Okay.
So 3 years, 2%. max increase.
Second again.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Is
All
that
right,
clear? Is that
so
clear
we've
to
got-
everybody?
We've got a motion for approval with modification of maximum 2% increase over a 3-year period after receiving the funds.
2% annual.
Yes.
Annual.
For 3 years.
Annual.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
So is there any public comment? Okay.
Good job.
Bring it back. Yes, sir?
Yes, my name's Donald Shepard, I'm People's Representative, and I think this is an exclusive meeting. And what I'm hearing tonight, I'm totally excited in the input that you're putting into this and for this to be available to the people. I think it's like 3-4 years ago, I had a program come from GRU into my house, and I don't feel that GRU's people actually did what I was asking to do, as far as the air conditioning and the blower program used to testing. This here was something that is needed in these systems, and so I'm for this program and ask we support this 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the question.
All right. Is your light back on, or is it just, okay, all right, just making sure. I'm checking all my lights. All right. So we have a motion with the modification, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion made, I second it. Member Palmer, sorry, I should point that through. Member Palmer, and I seconded. Mr. Repair.
You got it? All right. Motion carries unanimously.
Say our names.
Next item on the agenda is Heartwood update.
I have no questions whatsoever.
Sure.
I don't. Promise. I'm gonna avoid it.
We'll take money on this one.
Good evening, everyone. Dan Gill, GCRA Project Manager. How you all doing? Hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Daniel, if you don't mind sharing the screen, waiting for. Yeah, thank you. Well, actually, we're probably going to switch it back pretty soon. So I wanted to kick off this brief Heartwood update with some exciting news. The Heartwood model home is officially complete. This is beyond exciting. We're very pleased with the product that our construction manager, Sheer Construction, provided us. Very high quality, a lot of attention to detail. And if we can, we would like to play the promotional virtual tour video that Team Dynamo, the project realtor, put together for the home buyer information event. Let's take a look here.
Heartwood is a neighborhood immersed in nature and inspired by history. Part of a unique and vibrant community, Heartwood seeks to connect the neighborhood within the fabric of the existing community. Located at the site of the former Kennedy Homes apartment complex at 1717 Southeast 8th Avenue, Heartwood is Gainesville's first economically equitable community, characterized by high-quality housing, top-level urban design, green features, and community connectedness. This new neighborhood not only inspires growth, but also elevates the standards for subsequent development in the area. 11 of the 34 lots will be available to qualified buyers with Dreams to Reality financing, a program created specifically for Heartwood by the City of Gainesville's Department of Housing and Community Development. This partnership will enable a truly economically equitable community that 34 well-deserved neighbors will call home. Heartwood will offer many of the amenities that residents of East Gainesville have come to know and love. Tree-lined walking paths, old-growth oak trees, and beautiful wetlands will be just outside your door. In addition to these outdoor amenities, Heartwood is within walking distance to Joseph Williams Elementary, Lincoln Middle School, and the T.B. McPherson Recreation Complex. 1 mile from downtown Gainesville and Depot Park, and less than 3 miles from the University of Florida and Innovation Square. The neighborhood is also minutes from Noonan's Lake, Morningside Nature Center, and Bulware Springs Park, and is easily accessible from I-75 via Williston Road. The model home is an example of the red maple floor plan. This model is complete with an outdoor patio space perfect for grilling or enjoying your morning cup of coffee. The red maple floor plan features an open concept living and kitchen space, complete with Corian countertops, Palermo glass white cabinets, stainless steel appliances, vinyl plank flooring in the main living spaces, and carpet in the owner's bedroom and guest bedroom spaces. This floor plan also has enhanced lighting features, a large farmhouse sink, and a walk-in pantry.
Thank you, Daniel. If we can go back to the presentation. Yeah, next slide. So again, very exciting. Following last month's City Commission's final approval for our purchase and sales agreements and construction contracts, we were able to kick off the marketing campaign and start the timeline and countdown for sales day. The Heartwood website, heartwoodgnv.com, went live on Friday, May 16th, and to date, the website has had over 3,000 visitors. About 2 weeks ago, on June 2nd, staff held 2 virtual homebuyer informational sessions to provide the public an opportunity to meet the Heartwood team, hear about the 2 purchasing paths, and ask critical questions. Between the 2 sessions, there was a total of 57 attendees and over 60 questions asked. And the event was recorded and is accessible via the Heartwood website. Next slide, please. And so the next Heartwood event will be the neighborhood drive-through and open house, which will take place tomorrow, Wednesday, June 16th from 3 to 6 p.m. Again, that's tomorrow, June 16th from 3 to 6 p.m. We are going to have a couple of food trucks out there with some cold treats. We will also have Reverend Carl Anderson doing a live broadcast with 98.1. Folks that come out to the event will be able to come and drive through the neighborhood, or if they like, we'll have places designated for people to park and walk through the neighborhood and physically tour the model home. Again, the project's realtor team Dynamo will be in the model home, providing 5 to 7 minute tours with all needed COVID-19 related precautions taken. The next big event following the drive-through open house will be Sales Day. Sales Day will take place on Wednesday, June 30th. Online applications will be submitted via the Heartwood website. Please visit the website as there is more detailed information about the process. For those interested in the Dreams to Reality Special Financing Program, those applications will also be submitted online on June 30th. The difference will be that these applications will be able to be submitted over a 2-week window. All applicants will be placed on a list, and that list will then be randomized by the City Auditor's Office, and that new randomized list will then be given to HCD staff to begin their qualification process. That window closes on July 14th, and the announcement will be made on July 16th. Again, tomorrow, June 16th, at the Heartwood neighborhood located at 1717 Southeast 8th Avenue, we will be out there from 3 to 6 p.m. Providing tours of the model home, or if you simply want to just come and drive through the neighborhood. Next slide, please. I believe with that, our recommendation is to hear this update, and staff is here to take any questions, hopefully provide some answers. Thank you.
Member Grundy Gomez?
I move the recommendation of staff. I move staff's recommendation to hear the.
We just hear the update.
To hear the update, okay.
I don't think we need a motion.
Okay.
If anybody has any questions or anything, we're here. We're here.
Good job, Dan. Good job.
Right. I don't think we need a motion.
I was being good, see?
Mr. Palmer, you tried.
All right.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
We'll get this. All right. I guess I have a question about pricing adjustments, and the kind of the I guess it's a global lumber shortage right now, and whether or not those types of things have been factored into current pricing, and how we're dealing with and addressing that, because that's something that, if you look at a lot of the data, people are saying that a $400,000 house is costing $30,000 to $40,000 more. Housing in general is costing 10 to 20% more than it did, let's say, 4 months ago. How is that affecting current pricing and current conversations with what we're doing?
That is definitely has been brought to our attention by the builders. We have been in close communication with our realtor and keeping an eye on those construction prices. But we met with our builders and discussed, a variety of different situations that could occur. But we got confirmation that we can still keep the costs, relatively in the market and be able to, to execute our plan moving forward as we have been. So the market, it's a bit volatile right now, as expected, but we're doing our best to move with that.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that was something, there was a conversation
Yeah,
that was being had, so.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's definitely in our, when we meet with the builders and discuss, have our meetings, this definitely does come up.
Cool. Well, looks great to me. I mean, I'm really excited to see this. I think these look like great houses for the market, and looks like a lot of work's been put into it so far.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? I don't hear any, so we're through with that item. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dan.
Good luck tomorrow on the event. And
thank you all. Hope to see you all there. Come see our beautiful faces.
Awesome.
And
Food trucks.
we like to see your faces and your
Did you
smiles.
say food trucks?
Yeah, we got some
Abuelos
little
and food
treats. I wouldn't say we have full blown. Like if you're coming to try to get your evening supper, I wouldn't count on that. I think we got hippo popsicles and snow cones. We got cold treats. It's gonna be hot out there. So.
Man, you got my hopes up, Dan.
What's that?
Stop by another food truck on the way over. Come for dessert. All right, we're gonna move to the added agenda items, 8th and Waldo. So this got put on there. I don't know if staff has anything in particular to present. There was an entire package of information submitted ahead of time. Maybe the best thing to do is open it up to the board and let them ask questions so we can answer. That works. All right.
So would this be Ms. Bowie or who would be?
I think Mr. Breckfield is here to answer questions.
Mr. Breckfield, do you have any status updates as far as like, I know there's already a team that's already committed to searching. Who's the team that's already in place of discussing 8th and Waldo?
The internal staff team?
Yeah.
There's several of us. Myself, Sarit Sela, Sarah Vidal.
There's a
I
list.
believe it's in the package.
In the electronic part, I don't know if it's in the.
I don't have the ability to pull up the electronic part.
I understand.
We have recreation and park staff.
That's fine. Okay. So since I can't pull the electronic stuff, so I want to pull it for me. Is there anyone outside the internal team that are getting stuff? Like if we have other points of data, whether they be studies, engineering studies, traffic studies that have been done?
I would say to the board, there's really five pillars of where, I'll just touch on them real briefly. 5 pillars of where we are. One is that we're, as you know, and in your backup is we've done some environmental investigation. We have a phase 2 that we're ready to potentially pull the trigger on, but I'm needing to get some funding for that. This is not a GCRA expense because it doesn't involve the GCRA.
I like that. Keep talking about that.
If we can get that funding, we could probably get that turned around in 2 to 3 months. But it is a phase 2 on a portion of the property. The second pillar is we are out on the street right now to get some additional quotes to maybe do a market demand analysis of the property. And we're going to have those back next week. So hopefully we'll have that kind of in play. The third thing is we're working with Gainesville Fire and Rescue because they have a portion of that site and they're interested potentially in moving off of that site. The GFR, they're doing a master site scan right now around the city. And if they decide to determine that we're going to find another site for them, then we may work with them to move them off that site.
On the environmental factor, so a couple of questions about that, because I think you and I discussed that. And my concern was the county manager put out that was on the site of a landfill. What have you all discovered so far?
I think if you read in the backup, yes, that it appears that there was a landfill there many years ago, but it's got to be looked at a little bit. And we're talking about the area just to the north of the MLK Center, up where the actual open field is, not Citizen Field on Wall.
I got you, the green space.
Yeah, so that needs to be. We need to take a look at that. We feel like. Because if we're going to do some redevelopment on that entire site, even if we were not to utilize that portion, which we might not, but we might do stormwater there or something else related to the site, it needs to be probably fleshed out at this point. We need a little bit more information.
Do you think it would be akin to the on the scale of what was done with Depot Park with the mitigation?
Yeah,
that much?
Well, I mean, it could be in the sense that you could have an issue there. I'm just saying that there's probably a resolution to it as well. Okay. In the context of Depot.
It doesn't mention hazardous materials like
arsenic,
coal ash, and things like that.
No.
It's an old dump.
There needs to be a little bit more investigation of what was actually dumped in the landfill.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all?
That's all. Thank you.
Any other questions? I got a light on here. You want to go?
Yes. Can you give us some details and update on the engagement, please? And is that directed to residents of Duval and also to housing to the west of the site?
The engagement piece?
Yes.
Yes. I think the idea for the board is that we were hoping to try to get because the idea is when we go out and engage, we want to engage and be able to tell folks what's the state of play. So if we do have limitations like environmental limitations or market issues, we want to be able to do that. And we want to engage in the fall. And then yes, the idea is to try to hit the larger area all around, inclusive of Duval and the residential in the area. We're going to do it. If you look in the backup, there's actually the plan for engagement. Talks about the modes of engagement, focus groups, getting out and actually meeting with folks, et cetera. So yes, the answer to your question is we're going to try to hit all the areas that are proximate to the subject site.
You just made the statement informing them of the state of play. What about getting their input on what they want?
Oh yeah,
see in the area.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole purpose of engaging. Really, we just want to present what the findings and the status of the site is, and then get their views on what should be developed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Dixon.
Just following right up on that, I would just like to ask staff that as you're developing that engagement plan, that you think about this board as a place to come also for
Sure.
some discussion, maybe even a workshop format or whatever as you're determining that and rolling it out. So
Yeah, absolutely.
remember to involve us early.
All right, Mr. Grant Gomez.
I had a question. Have we looked at any other, when we're doing the market-driven study, because also the city commission 2008, 2009, and 2010 put certain types of environmental overlays that would have an impact on a lot of the type of development that was over there. They also have a flora-fauna overlay that's over in that area that could have impact. So I guess when we're doing when you use the market demand for me, so that kind of gives me some okay, we're looking at market demand. It goes back to when I gave the presentation, not directly to you, I'm just giving a statement here, Ed.
Sure.
It goes back to the same type of market study or demand study when it came to the crossplex. Very similar in scope, but some of the challenges we're talking about having, are you including in any of those studies the engineering of the roads, because you're going to have impact of roads and neighborhood impact as well. So Waldo and 8th Avenue in of itself, of what's going to need to be reconfigured, how we're going to.
I think on if you look in the backup, actually, we've gotten some thoughts and recommendations on that from our mobility area, from Melissa McCready's area already. So we'll probably
Mobility Director McCready.
Yeah. So we'll probably work a little bit more closely with them on some of the traffic analysis around that area. And then in terms of the market demand, I think we're kind of interested in what the market can bear out there under various types of development scenarios. And then also, to your issue, though, I think, part of the analysis is what is the land use and zoning, and is it appropriate for what we're trying to get to out there?
Has your staff looked at, so the thing that's competing, and theirs wasn't, the county's was an old study that was done 2018, 2017, 2018. The Invictus study that was done by them, that they put, if you they did a GIS map of that whole area and said it was 15 acres, that's already not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two, so I guess I want to be antithetical to that whole study in and of itself. Are we going to come from not what they're coming from, but a whole new formulary of what we're going through and kind of being dismissive of that, or are we including any of the findings from that?
Well, I think it's got to be probably informed. I think like with any study, you want to be informed by what came before, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be, we're going to follow the same script necessarily.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
I was wondering if you have considered making a site a brownfield site. By doing that, you open yourself up to some dollars that you could get. You could get matching dollars. You can get tax credits back. There's also, if there is solid waste out there, there's about $500,000 that you can actually get in credit back from any kind of excavation that you'd have to do out there. So there's some dollars there. I heard there was concern about the phase 2 services and trying to get enough money for that. You can actually get reimbursed for half of that if you have the site under what's known as a BISRA, Brownfield Site Rehabilitation Agreement. So, looking at that as another possibility. The other thing that it does is that as a developer comes in and takes a look at that property, it affords them the opportunity for some liability protections that are associated with contaminated property. And also, again, these tax credits related to development. Mm-hmm. So it's just something that I would throw out there, something to consider.
We haven't considered that yet, Mr. Chair, but that's something we appreciate that comment.
Mr. Norquist. Okay. Mr. Norquist, so you just brought it up, making it a brownfield site. I guess what gives me pause there when I hear a brownfield site, especially to people within the district, and I'm just asking a question, Mr. Norquist, so I don't want you to get on the fence. Give me that. When you talk to the folks that live in District 1, we hear brownfield, the first thing you can go to is you can look at the gateway over on Hawthorne Road, which is a brownfield site. So that made it no kind of development could happen there because it was a brownfield. That gives me pause. So are we talking about a brownfield with mitigation? Are we talking about a brownfield and just we clean it up and do nothing? Because technically Depot Park would have been also a brownfield.
Sure, so to answer that question, there's lots of brownfields around the state that are designated, actually around the country. They're just designated areas that are basically socioeconomically depressed and that there are properties that are underutilized in those areas. It doesn't necessarily mean that these individual properties are actually contaminated or impacted. All it does is it creates an opportunity and an incentive for people to go in and investigate because they may be concerned about contamination being present. Most contamination that we identify on these sites is manageable. So if somebody really wants to come in and develop these sites, they're going to come in and develop them. And what happens when you designate it as a brownfield, there's opportunity for some additional dollars to be brought to the table that weren't there. And also there is some liability protections that go along where the developers are actually looking at those. And again, so I think it's a win-win potential situation where the community actually gets underutilized property back on the tax rolls, get a development that they want. And there's a lot of properties that fall within this area that aren't actually contaminated. But one of the things that it does do, that if it is contaminated, that there are some tax credits that can come back and help pay for the remediation that might be required. And again, that makes it more attractive to redevelop these sites. So there's lots of examples throughout the whole state where this is ongoing. I'm personally involved in some of those projects as well, so I'm very familiar with them. Mm-hmm. So anyways, that's my comment related to your question. Hopefully I've answered it.
You have, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Breckville? Nope. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the update. Next item we have is Downtown Strategic Plan Project Update. Let's follow the same format. Do we have questions of staff?
So I'll tackle that. I'm the one that asked it to be put on the agenda. Just very quickly, I looked through the materials, and I know we talked about it briefly at our last meeting. We appointed who would be our neighborhood advisory group representative. The materials also talked a lot about development of stakeholder groups and community roundtables and some of those things that staff would be working on rolling out and wanted some of our input on. I would just, sort of like what I said on the last topic, I would like to ask that this GCRA advisory board be considered for as a stakeholder group, and that we get this on our agenda either maybe sometime if we have a short meeting and we can put this on here for some substantial discussion, or if staff thinks we need to split and go into a workshop format, or maybe we do it as a special meeting, whatever you all think is going to work best for everyone. But I just think that on these kinds of projects like this and like the 8th and Waldo, I think this group here is a really strong resource, and we should at the very least be considered a stakeholder group and included in as you're formulating that engagement plan.
Member Brenda Gomez.
So, Mr. Breffel, there's been several meetings with the Porters community over the last month, 2 months. And I believe, and I could be wrong, I do believe Porters falls within the downtown portion, which would be affected the strategic plan. Is it possible for you, Mr. Mann, or somebody from Caper to meet with, I guess the word is our neighbors, to meet with our neighbors and folks that live in that community? Because they feel like they've come and have been left out of things that have been promised that they're being impacted by, that they have a lot of need. And possibly, where I'm going with this is I'm looking at possibly a pilot program we could launch to bring some relief and real help to a community that's been impacted that could use that. So is there a possibility that maybe for community engagement, Mr. Mann or yourself from Caper can go out and meet with our neighbors and Porters?
Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to. First, Member Dixon's comment. Absolutely, if we can bring it, we can bring that the conversation or the comment about the GCRA board being a stakeholder and getting us a chance for input. We can bring it back to our neighborhood advisory group at their next meeting, which is the 23rd of June. So, and that's fine. I think they'll probably be fine with that. So we could schedule that. And to Member Grundy Gomes' comment. Porters is already in the backup in the presentation. Porters is already listed as the first stakeholder roundtable group, and also former Commissioner Simmons is on the neighborhood advisory group, which is the steering committee for the effort. But sure, if the group wants us to come out, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
And just one other thing, I think it would be nice, and staff probably is going to do this anyway, but just to make sure that the advisory board members are advised when the community meetings happen.
Sure.
We could get those notifications too. That was all.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Brenda.
Thank you very much.
That's the end of our normal agenda. The public comment. Seeing none, member comment. Mr. Blau.
I want us to demonstrate a little bit of thrift. Look at this page. The color items on this page are just the numbers of the items and these links. And these are not links on hard copy, so they don't need to be in color. And pages like this is trite extravagance. Unless we have a color-coded chart to understand, we're doing single-side color copies. And this is a tremendous waste of paper and color printing. And I want us to stop demonstrating extravagance. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Blount. Any other member comment?
I also want to say I really appreciate this new format. I think this is really effective, and thank you guys for your time today. And this was an awesome meeting. Thank you so much.
All right. Don't jinx it. Any other member comment? All right, our next meeting is July 20th, and it will not be here. And without objection, we're adjourned. Thank you all.